So I used to be a pro at health anxiety, went to the Olympics for compulsive hand washing, have a couple national titles for unnecessary medical tests. I hold still the world record for the fastest anybody has ever connected unnecessarily a physical sensation to cancer. Negative 5 seconds. That's right. Before I even knew something felt weird in my body, I knew it was cancer. I also used to think people were trying to poison me. So just a second. So like I was just this ball of managing anxiety. So I thought everything I was going to touch, that I was going to eat, that I was going to drink, ingest, I thought that things that were already inside of me, they were all going to kill me. I think I could take this off now. So when I see people out there ready to chop off their heads because they're afraid of getting a cold, I get that. That was me. In this weird way, it kind of, warms my heart in a sad, sympathetic, ooh, is that a heart palpitation? Right there, just a second. No, internet says it's a heartworm, so we'll keep on going. Anyhow, I don't play the health anxiety game anymore. I have retired. You should know if that's something you want to do, it's entirely possible to do that. And I think because a lot of people are paying attention to health anxieties right now, thank you to our new coronavirus friend, COVID-19, I thought this was a great opportunity to talk about some of the common fears that we run into when we're struggling with health anxiety and how we can understand those fears and really touch them and come into contact with them, and then how we can pivot from them to putting our time and energy into something that's going to be more valuable to us. So today I'm going to cover 5 fears and 5 pivots. So fear number 1, you're afraid of death. So here is a scientific diagram of the human experience of health. As you can see, you're born over on this side, then you kind of have sucky health here in the middle, get a stomach ache, drink some ginger ale, and then you die. So if you're watching this video, you're in the kind of sucky health part right now. You are here. The thing is, people tend to be really surprised when they learn about the death part, even though this is the same for everybody. You and me, we are gonna die. Well, at least you are. Many people died today, and many people will die tomorrow. People have died and will die from COVID-19. People will also die from violence and accidents and disease and famine and old age and broken hearts in so many different ways every day. We are very close to death. We are these sacks of water and hope that are perilously close to the end of our lives at so many moments each day. So what do we do when we touch that fear of death and we feel that pain? Okay, and here comes the pivot. So when we touch that fear of pain, we recognize that we're afraid of dying because we want to live. And so that's the thing we need to shift towards in this moment. Right now is living. By how many of us spend our days ignoring life, just caught up in our heads, time traveling in the past to dig up old mistakes, or obsessing about possible disasters that could happen in the future, and we ignore the present. We miss it. We miss out on all of the amazing experiences we're having right now. We exhaust ourselves on these compulsions. I did this all the time when I struggled with my mental health. I was terrified of not living, but then I happily just threw away my life to obsess about trying to avoid something bad happening to my life. So when I touch that recognition of death, when I touch that pain, it's an opportunity to say, yeah, I'm afraid of dying because I want to live. So why am I wasting my life stuck up in my head? This could be the last moment I'm alive. That next meal I eat could be the last one I eat. The next time I see a friend, that might be the last time I see them. The next time I'm walking down a path through the forest, that could be the last time I'm there. So let's be present for it. Let's live the life we have if we're so afraid of losing it. Fear number 2, you won't get to do the things that you want to do in life. This one was huge for me when I struggled with my mental health because I was spending so much time and energy, really all of my time and energy every day into all these anxious, paranoid compulsions. So the things that I really wanted to do, I was always putting them off. I just didn't feel ready yet. I didn't feel right. I could do them next week. There were these uncertainties I had to deal with this week. I just needed to resolve this anxiety, just get rid of this intrusive thought. And then I would do the things I really cared about. And of course, I just kept pushing it off. I just kept procrastinating on things more and more. So then when fears of death would come up, I thought I was going to be poisoned. I felt something in my body that I was sure, was some disease that was about to kill me. I was very aware all of a sudden that I wasn't doing any of the things I wanted to be doing in life. I wasn't creating, wasn't writing books, wasn't building relationships, wasn't reaching my goals. I wasn't being myself authentically with people. And now I was going to die. There'd be no more soons. There'd be no more, I'll do it next week. So feel that pain of not doing the things you want to do. Feel that pain of not being yourself in the world. Recognize that. Recognize why you care about that. And then pivot. We have to pivot to being ourselves in the world, to doing the things we want to do in life. We've got to pivot to not delaying anymore, to not procrastinating anymore, to not listening to those excuses that we make about, this feeling and that feeling and this thought and I've just got to solve this uncertainty and then I can, move on and I'll be in that magical place in the future where I can do all the things that I want to do. That magical place in the future does not exist. It is here right now. Let's get really practical here for a second. Look at the week you've got coming up. How can you do something that you've been delaying, that you've been telling yourself you're going to get to, that you really want to do? How can you do it this week? Because it totally makes sense that we're afraid of dying when we're delaying living. And the only thing getting in the way of us living is that supercharged excuse blob sloshing around in our skulls. Fear number 3, you're afraid of losing the people you care about or having nobody that cares about you. We take relationships for granted. We don't work on them until there's a problem. We expect them to just magically go to great places without any effort. As a society, I feel like we've really devalued the importance of relationship. I'm gonna do all of this work, travel all of these places, kind of be separated from all sorts of people because I've got to pursue these goals, whether it's work, it's school, whatever. And then relationships are this thing that, we're gonna do later. Again, in this kind of magical, far-off place, we've got to take care of all this other stuff first, and then we're going to have all of this time to have relationships and have these beautiful, great relationships. So let's pivot to building relationships. When you touch that fear and that pain around death, look at your life and ask yourself, are your relationships where you hoped they would be? Are you making space and giving time and energy to your friendships? Are you bringing people together and supporting others in building relationships? So this week, let's elevate the importance of social interaction, social connection, and being with the people we care about, whether we're doing that online or out in the real world. Our social connections, our relationships are so important to us. Research shows they're one of the biggest predictors and one of the biggest support factors when it comes to taking care of your mental health. But we also know from research that when humans run into natural disasters, things like pandemics, your social network and your connections are one of the biggest factors when it comes to weathering those difficult times and bouncing back from them afterwards. Fear number 4, you're afraid of being responsible for spreading the virus to others and harming other people. This is also about relationships and social connection because we want other people to like us. We don't want them to hate us. We're afraid of doing something that's going to make other people judge us, that we're going to feel ashamed about, that we're going to feel guilty about. We want to avoid and control those emotions. We're afraid of being alone and rejected. We are afraid of getting kicked out of the tribe. But what if you've been giving to others? Because the thing is, we often end up very focused on ourselves, right? Trying to get relief, get certainty, get rid of thoughts, get resolution, get closure, get success, get feelings, get control. It's all about get, get, get. But what do you give when you notice that fear of being responsible for something bad happening to other people? It can really help to explore why that troubles you. And I think you'll find that through that exploration, you'll pivot to giving, because we do want to support people. We do want to help other people. What happens though is the moment we start reacting to and engaging with all of those uncertainties and fears that come up in our heads, we quickly default to trying to get things and trying to control. Notice the fears and uncertainties coming up and try pivoting to giving. So how can you support people in the community that may need help right now, that might be more vulnerable? How can you give kindness and understanding and compassion and help to people when your brain might want to approach them with fear and judgment and control? This pivot to giving can also be a really powerful way to address health anxiety all of the time, but especially right now, where there might be things that we're doing that are a bit different than usual to prepare, to take care of our health. Because when we shift the focus away from, oh no, there's this dangerous thing I have to control, and towards, okay, how can I do things in my life to maybe help people who don't have immune systems that are as strong as mine? So how can I make this preparation work about giving instead of making it about, oh no, I have to control fears? Fear number 5, you're afraid of something uncontrollable and painful happening to your health. Our health, like relationships and life, is unfortunately one of those things that we tend to just ignore until some kind of disaster makes us pay attention to it, at which point it's often too late to do anything about it. We get so reactive to disasters and problems, but when things are going well, when we actually have the time and energy to invest in building mental health and fitness and building physical health and fitness, we just kind of ignore it. When we touch that fear of something bad, maybe something painful, something uncontrollable happening to our health, let's pivot to building health and fitness. Because we don't want healthy actions to be dependent on disasters in our life and catastrophes. If that's how we approach doing healthy things, then we're only ever going to do anything healthy when something is going terribly wrong. So we're essentially saying that the prerequisite to being healthy is to be experiencing a disaster. We're making illness the prerequisite for health, and that is not a useful engine we want to build in our lives. So for this week, instead of choosing to do lots of compulsions that are certainly going to damage your physical health and your mental health and fitness, how can you choose to proactively build your health and fitness and build your mental health and fitness? Absolutely within the context in which you find yourself. But how can you make your health about where you want to take it, not just what you want to avoid? So that is 5 fears and 5 pivots you can make. Well, being honest about the reality of death, we can touch that pain. We don't have to pretend it's not there. We can look at it, but not get caught up in all of these superficial uncertainties and fears. We can recognize that they are about living. They are about how we want to live and how we want to be ourselves in the world. So take a second to look at how much time and energy you're spending on checking about the virus, rereading stories, fueling conspiracy theories, ruminating on it, trying to control everything in your life, emptying store shelves to prepare for the zombie apocalypse, teaching your brain to come up with increasingly complex and horrifying intrusive thoughts so you can chase after them and control them. Think about all the energy you're putting into that. Ask yourself, have you ever put that much energy into getting ready to live?